Voces Latinas is brought to you in part by Lourdes University. Discover a new you. Discover Lourdes University.
Hola mis amigos, bienvenidos a otra programación de Voces Latinas, tu show, y finalmente le damos la bienvenida a la primavera. Esperemos que se quede aquí con nosotros en Toledo, Ohio, y estamos aquí en nuestros estudios. Y antes que todo le tengo que dar un gran saludo a nuestra hermosísima y talentosa productora Marjorie Ríos, porque sin ella esto no sería posible. Y hoy les estamos empezando un nuevo segmento de nuestra serie, nuestra cuarta serie de Latino Youth Prevention, y aquí a mi lado tengo a nuestro Chief of Police, Chief Krall. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. It's
My
a pleasure
pleasure
to have you here. Well, Chief, as I was talking to you, we wanted to do this for the Latino community in light of all these school shootings. We wanted to provide a four-part series educating our community on the preventions, identification, symptoms, because for sure we want to prevent these massacres that are happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So Chief, I wanted to discuss this from the get-go. You have signed a code of conduct.
We have.
Correct?
We have.
Tell us a little bit about that and who was involved in this.
This was a very long process. It's a little over 2 years, and it was the police department, it was Mayor Hicks Hudson at the time, the Black and Brown Coalition, and of course President Velasquez and the Flock and the Homies, where we've had in the past incidents where the police and the Latino community in the South End have had issues, and President Velasquez brought it to us that he would like us to sit down and come up with a code of conduct just so we knew our role, and we would educate our officers, and he would educate the homies and people in his neighborhood on what their responsibilities are when dealing with the police. And it was a pretty historic thing. Like I said, it wasn't a quick bam thing. It took a couple of years, and I think it's a very solid document, and it's just another way for the police department to engage with the community.
That's wonderful. As we know, part of the police department protecting our citizen is trusting the police.
Right,
and there's
right.
so many videos that augment.
Exactly.
I bypass those videos that augment police department, police officers using brutality, excessive force. And I believe that the police are, for the most part, good people.
I agree.
Officers
I agree.
that take an oath to protect us. So I want to thank you for signing that code of conduct.
It was our pleasure, it really was. And I believe it or not, I didn't get hardly any kickback from the officers. They understood it. And talking briefly on those videos, no one hates seeing a police officer do something inappropriate more than other police officers, because we get cast under the same light, and it's just not fair. So these videos are viral. A lot of times they don't show the whole situation, and people just fill in their own narrative, and it's dangerous. And the trust is the most important thing. Toledo could have the lowest crime rates in all of Ohio. If we don't have the trust of our citizens, we're not going to have anything.
That's right. Estamos conversando sobre el código de conducta que se acaba de firmar entre el Departamento de Policía, Flock, NAACP, Homies, o varias personas afroamericanas y latinos. Can you expand on what that means? Expound. Can you share with us what that code of conduct means for us?
Sure. There's a shared responsibility when the police and the public are having some type of interaction, whether it's a traffic stop, whether an officer is stopping someone on the street based on probable cause. We have our duty and how we're supposed to handle ourselves, and the community is as well. The last thing any police officer wants is to have to physically fight someone. That's just not what we're about. So we want to get the word out on, if you're being stopped by the police, just answer the questions, do what's asked. If you think it's inappropriate at the time, the scene is not the place to do it. Wait, let the officers finish whatever they're doing, and then come down, call us, come to Internal Affairs, reach out to one of the district station command officers and say, hey, listen, this happened. I don't think it's right. Can you explain it to me? Or if you think you were handled inappropriately, definitely come down to Internal Affairs, because if we don't know what's going on, we can't fix it.
Muy interesante. Well, nos está explicando básicamente qué es lo que qué es lo que significa el código de conducta que se ha firmado. Él nos está explicando de que, por ejemplo, cuando si un policía te para, responde las preguntas sin problemas. Si tú sientes que algo no es apropiado, ese no es el momento de ponerte a pelear con el policía, sino que lo reportes, porque ellos quieren saber lo que está pasando. Well, we want to talk a little bit more about the school shootings. We've had several school educators, we've had the Lucas County Children's Services, because, Chief, it is no longer enough to expel a student. It is no longer to kick them to the curb, so to speak. We don't want to isolate them. What is the police department doing to work with community entities?
Well, we're trying to attack this from different angles. We're trying to educate the educators, the teachers, the school administration on ALICE training on what to do if, God forbid, there's an active shooter in their school. We have 10 or so school resource officers in all of our high schools in Washington Public, and we're trying to mentor these kids on, if you're having an issue, if you're being bullied, if there's something going on, reach out to a teacher you trust, reach out to a police officer. The thing I've found kind of sadly ironic is that almost in every single one of these school shootings, when everything is done, students and teachers and friends said, yep, I could see this happening. He would mention things, we wouldn't think anything about it. He would look at a lot of gun magazines, he would, fantasize about things like this. But we need to know that on the front end so we can stop something. And, I always say, if you see something, say something. In a case like this, if you think something or you feel something, reach out to a school counselor, reach out to a teacher, reach out to a police officer. Then we can get these kids the help that they need, hopefully to avoid something like this happening.
Desafortunadamente, en estas masacres en las escuelas, por lo general el maestro, el estudiante o el personal dice, oh mira, yo lo vi venir, o sea, yo vi que esa persona, y él les está compartiendo de que tienen que reportarlo, digan algo, no se queden callados, no solamente si ven algo, pero si sienten algo, por favor repórtenlo para prevenir, no después estar con esta situación. That's really important, Chief. One thing also that we've talked about is the opioid epidemic. How bad is it in our city?
I hate to say it, Ohio seems to be the epicenter of this opioid epidemic for the entire country. Ohio, I think, is the #1 state for opioid overdoses, and Lucas County is #2. So we're right in the midst of it. I've been a police officer since 1990, and I have never seen anything so bad. It's to the point where we're having, and I'm not exaggerating, 7, 8, 9 non-fatal overdoses a day. My officers carry Narcan and have brought back literally hundreds of people from being dead. We need more treatment beds in this city. I see another one is opening up pretty soon on Collingwood, which is fantastic. This is not a law enforcement issue. This is a public health emergency. That's why the normal law enforcement response, put more officers here, do this, it's not going to work. This has to come from education. It has to come from health. It has to come from schools. It has to come from parents. It's scary where it is, and to be honest, I don't see it slowing down at this stage of the game.
That breaks my heart.
Mine too.
We want to be part of the solution. We want to be the vehicle, the venue that we can, educate and make it. Because if we focus too much on we just get bogged down, and
Sure.
so we want to stay alive. We want to stay vibrant. We talked about the holistic approach in terms Lucas County Children's Services. Kevin Melican was on our show, and he talked about the young man that committed the shootings in Florida was a foster child, because of course a lot of parents are addicted to drugs. They might not be present, and I love that you said it's a public health issue. It is no longer just about the parents. It's about the teacher,
Sure.
the policeman, the friend, whomever is involved in that person's life.
It is, and the federal government is throwing tens of millions of dollars in every different direction with the hopes of somehow not only eliminating the supply but also the demand. Real quick short story, a year or two ago we had two friends overdose. One lived, one unfortunately passed away. When we brought back the young man who made it, he said, I'm going to go out tomorrow and buy the drugs that guy had, because the need and the fixation is so strong in their body. So this is going to have to come from brains much smarter than from law enforcement. This is why the brightest and the best are trying to come together to figure a way of a multi-pronged approach to stop it.
Wow, and I think that the punitive approach hasn't worked.
No, throwing people in jail is not going to stop. I mean, if you're breaking into my garage to sell a weed eater just to feed your heroin addiction, putting you in jail is not going to stop that. We have to get people healthy, and they won't be breaking the law.
Wow. Chief, we know it's important that our youth stay busy, especially during the summer times, because that's when crime increases. What are the things that the police department is doing to get involved in the community?
I'm glad you brought that up. We just got a $26,000 grant that we're going to have midnight basketball at the Police Athletic League. And it's obviously not going to be at midnight. It'll be from 6 to 9. Where we're trying to get programs where we can get kids to be involved, sporting events, Lego construction type deals. TPS has a fantastic chess program that I encourage people to.
Wow.
And you're right, if you're bored, you're going to get into trouble. It was when we were kids too. So it's our goal, especially when the weather gets hot and there's no school and kids need stuff to do. We want to get them into the Boys and Girls Club. We want to get them involved with the Police Athletic League. We want to get them playing basketball. We want to get them to be mentors with us. So when they get to be 20 years old, I can hire them to be police officers and police this neighborhood.
That's wonderful. Well, Chief, thank you so much for all the work that you do.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's an honor policing this city, and I applaud you for building your business in the South End. And I've been across the street at the flag headquarters a lot, so I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
Thank you. Please keep us in mind.
I
We
will.
want to be part of the solution. We want to stay involved. You'll have my number, so you can call me whenever you need us.
That might have been a mistake, because I have no problem with calling people. And I promise I'm gonna bone up on my Spanish, so I'm not gonna look so just a
white.
stare when I'm listening.
And I'll help you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Bueno, amigo, ahí los tienen el Chief of Police, George Krall. Qué orgullo tenerlo aquí en nuestros estudios. Pero amigos, no se lo pierdan, porque aún tenemos más. Tenemos al alcalde de Toledo aquí en nuestros estudios. Así es que por favor no se muevan ahí. Marisol Ibarra con Voces Latinas.